Welcome everyone to part three, the final part, the grand finale of my budget dining room makeover. And let's just be honest here. This is the part we've all been waiting for. I know that I have. This was the only thing that got me through all of that painting and sanding. It's finally time to decorate the dining room with 100% thrifted items. I am so excited. But first, a very quick recap. So, I set myself a £200 budget for this makeover, and in part one, we took the room from this to this, and we spent £110 of our budget. In part two, we got some free or cheap secondhand furniture and we revamped it. That cost £72, and that left us with just £18 in the budget. Just £18 to decorate this room. So, some deep breaths. Don't worry, if there's anything I'm good at, it's thrifting the best, most cheapest things you've ever seen. So, settle in, get your snacks. I hope you got some good ones. You know I live for my snacks. And get ready for a fun 30 minutes of farmhouse decorating. I even have some bonus seasonal fun at the end. So, let's go. So, I really wasn't kidding when I said that I have been looking forward to this part since the very beginning. And for the last few months, I've been picking up little pieces here and there from all over Northern Ireland. Most things I got from charity shops, some car boot sales, and a few items I was given as gifts. So, as you can see, I have a huge haul of gorgeous farmhouse decor ready to go. If you take a look online, you'll find lots of variations of farmhouse decor. Some really modern and sleek, and some that are all about the dark wood and taxidermy stags. For my dining room, I wanted a rustic working farm meets modern antique vibe. Now, I am not a farmer, though I do live in the countryside, surrounded by farmland and farm animals, and I do have one heck of a flock of chickens nowadays. But we are not technically a farming family. But a girl can dream, can't she? So I started with my dark wood hutch, which, just as a reminder, I got completely for free, a total gem. I absolutely love this cabinet, and I knew right away that I wanted to fill the shelves with beautiful milky white ceramics. This is also our family dining room, so I was really searching for pieces that could actually be used for our Sunday roasts and dinners. I struck gold like I always do. If you keep your hopes high and you're grateful when things go your way, you will find gold all the time. I promise you. I found so many ceramic pieces exactly what I was hoping for, and nothing was priced higher than 50 pence. So let me give you a quick little haul of my beautiful new dinnerware. So yes, this insanely gorgeous serving dish was only 50p, but I have a sad backstory to go with it. I actually saw this dish slash pot in this charity shop maybe a month before I bought it, and I do wonder, did this dish actually inspire my entire dining room makeover without me even realizing it? Because I saw it and I loved it, but I had no place for it in my home, so I didn't buy it because I'm an experienced thrifter. And you realize over time, you can't just bring things home because you love it. You need to have some kind of home for it. So then, of course, I redecorated an entire room just so that I did have a home for it, as you do. But the sad part is, when I originally saw it months ago, it had a lid on top, a beautiful lid with a little pointed handle on it. And when I finally caved and went back for it, yes, I was super excited that it was still there waiting for me. But the lid was gone, and trust me, I tore the place apart looking for this lid. I was in every nook and cranny, determined to find it, but I never did. I imagine it probably got broken and then thrown away. So the lesson here is to buy on impulse. No, I'm just kidding. Shop responsibly. And even without the lid, it was still a beautiful piece and I was thrilled to bring it home with me. But if you're the person that dropped that lid and you're watching this, I will find you. I also grabbed a pair of bowls, and just to prove their age, they actually say lead free on the bottom. I had a hard time finding matching pieces. The most I got was pairs, but that suited me because I wanted the pieces stacked and mixed. I also got this pair of cute little side plates with pretty edges, and I got several really large flat serving plates. I absolutely loved this little white jug, and I liked that it was so much more detailed and ornate compared to the plates and bowls. I loved the contrast. To display them all together, I stacked some bigger plates, then some bowls, and then lastly I added the jug. I made several stacks in different places, and I also added this black metal plate stand that I found at a car boot sale for just 10 pence. I used it to display one of the large decorative platters. This one had fruit embossed around the edges. Now I moved on to adding another colour and texture to the hutch. I grabbed this small wicker basket which I originally intended to hang on the wall and maybe add a little herb plant inside of it, but instead I decided to use it in the hutch. I got these cloth napkins for just 50p and I folded them and added them to the basket. I liked that the napkins were usable when we had dinner, but they also doubled as a cute ornament. I wanted different colours of fabric in the basket, but those were the only napkins I found, so I cheated a little bit and I folded up an old brown pillowcase and a decorative cloth and I added those as well. No one has discovered my secret yet. I also added this wicker heart, which again was originally going to hang on the wall, but I just loved the look of the wicker against the dark wood, so I used it in the hutch instead. My kids love to find pine cones for me, so I thought a nice way to display them would be in this wicker basket that I got for free with a gift set, and I just added a few little pieces of faux greenery that I had. Some of you might remember this gem from a previous haul video. These are wooden begins with their original paint. They do have chips in the paint and I briefly considered painting them or sanding them back, but in the end I came to my senses and I kept them as is. I think the chips add to the antique vibe we're trying to create. I spent far too long, longer than I cared to admit, finding the perfect colour of secondhand books for this cabinet. I took most of the covers off and displayed the hardback colours, but just to mix things up a little and to give some contrast, I kept a couple of the book covers on. I especially love the Irish Horses book because hello, we're trying to create a farmhouse look in Northern Ireland. What farm in Northern Ireland doesn't have a book about horses somewhere in their house? I would actually take a guess and say most of them don't nowadays, but that doesn't matter. We're here for aesthetic, not authenticity. Next, I added another two types of material. This beautiful metal clock that I got for just £1 and this glass vase I was actually given for free. I know not everyone enjoys it, but I personally really love the sound of a ticking clock and I felt like it suited the farmhouse style perfectly. When it's quiet in the house, you can hear the roosters in the garden mixed with the sound of rain and then the ticking on top. It's ambience music at the highest level and I love it. Now we're gonna go full-blown farmer. I got this little egg house a few months ago in a charity shop and I'm adding my own hen's eggs, which are all different colours and some are speckled, so when they're displayed together like this, they look just beautiful. And now for the pièce de résistance. My antique rooster that I got for £1 in my favourite charity shop. He is my pride and joy, I'm obsessed with him and he will be proudly displayed here in the dining room. Now, if you couldn't already tell, I'm a maximalist, and I'm sorry if that comes as a shock. So on top of the hutch was looking a little bit bare for my taste, and I decided to add some bigger items that I had thrifted. I added this little laundry hamper. Anytime I see a basket, especially a big one, I have to have it. It's actually a problem for me, and I bought this one because it was a darker colour, which I don't often see, but it's an awkward size. It's too big for a gift hamper, and it's too small to be a laundry basket. I mean, maybe it would work as a laundry basket if you had a normal amount of laundry, but in my house, this wouldn't last half a day before it would be full, so instead, it's a display basket. I also added a few bulky items that I do use seasonally or when I'm gifted flowers, etc. But because of their size, it's been hard for me to find somewhere to store them, so this worked out really well. I also have an obsession with lamps, and if you're thinking to yourself, what doesn't this lady have an obsession with? You'd be right. I ask myself that often as well. But back to the lamp situation. I thought it would be nice to add some illumination to the hutch, but there's no plugs, aka power supply, in that area of the room. I also couldn't find a lamp that I really liked. So, to solve these problems, I grabbed this little wicker basket that I thrifted. It's actually a pair, and I got them for Easter decorations, which I can still use them for, but for now, we're going to use it as a makeshift lamp. I added an old lamp base that I had laying around, keeping the cord wrapped around it because we wouldn't be needing it, and I added a lampshade I already had. I got these little battery lights that had wireless remotes. I got them in the pound shop, but of course they weren't a pound. Nothing is anymore. They were £3, and I added the battery light instead of a bulb. I just taped it on to secure it. I love how this little pretend lamp turned out. I love the look, and I love that if I change my mind later, I can dismantle it and everything can be used again. By not cutting the wire or making a hole in the basket, nothing is permanently changed. Because it is battery powered, I will have to recharge the light every now and then, but I think it's worth it for how cute it is. Now for lamp number two, there must always be multiple lamps in every room. It's the rule, okay? I didn't make the rule, I just follow it. I got this lamp completely for free a while ago. It was part of a video I made using free Facebook Marketplace items to make a reading nook in my living room. Well, it's migrated to the dining room now. I love this lamp. It has a worn brass coloured heavy base and I do love the shade, but I think it could look even better. I swapped out the lampshade for a simpler shade that I thrifted. I think the plain linen gives a beautiful glow without distracting from the busy hutch. Moving on to the mantle. Because the hutch is so busy, I wanted to keep the mantle fairly simple, but it's got to have a little something. So I added this wooden plaque that I've had for years, and I added this little smoke glass vase which I showed in a previous haul video. I think it was £1 from a charity shop. And the pampas grass, Andy and the kids find me out in the wild, so that's totally free. I'm obsessed with the wall colour and the pampas grass. Chef's kiss, I love the combination. Would you believe me if I told you I got this giant metal candlestick for just 50 pence? Now, it did have a lot of melted wax and some rust, but I sanded that back and I spread the whole thing black. I added some plain white taper candles that I already had, and a handy little tip is to melt the end of the candle before putting it into the holder. That'll help it stay straight and in place. Now on to the window. And look, before you hate me and think that I clickbaited you, I did say everything in this room was thrifted. And if you watch the video until the very end, you'll know that I was being totally honest with you. But at this point in the video, I did buy something new from a shop. I know. For shame, what got into me? But I looked for months for secondhand curtains for this room and nothing ever came my way, so I kind of gave up. And when I was in B&M, I saw these little check panels and they were reduced to £4. So I got them because I think the check and the dark walls go well with the farm style. They would have been perfect, but these exact panels were just a little bit too thin and flimsy for my liking. So instead, I tried this hack that I saw online a while ago. You buy two of these huge dust sheets and you hang them like curtains. The dust sheets were £12 each though, not the bargain I was hoping for, but they did the job and I was tired of looking for the perfect curtains, so I hung those up for the time being. I already had the curtain pole and the curtain clips, so that didn't cost me anything. At this point I had most of the room decorated, but there was one wall left that was looking pretty bare, and you know as well as I do that we couldn't have that. So my first option was this insanely beautiful framed print that I bought in a charity shop long before this makeover was an obsession in my mind. I had nowhere to put it, but I just loved it so much that I've held on to it this whole time. I love the colours of the picture against the wall. To me it worked really well together, but the gold frame just wasn't working for me, unfortunately. So instead I started a collage wall using different pieces I collected over the past few weeks. I started with this accordion rack, accordion hooks, whatever you call this. I added that first. Then I added some pictures that were also used in my living room nook a few months back. They're actually hand-drawn sketches of places here in Northern Ireland, and you know, I love them so much that I researched the artists, and one of the artists, he actually passed away last year, but he was a well-known artist and came from a town not too far from me, and I have two of his sketches that are of places in that town, so I was really chuffed that I get to hang actual artwork, not prints or replicas, real artwork from local artists. I thought that was so amazing, and how lucky was I to stumble upon them secondhand. I added some little pieces to the hooks, and I have to be honest here, I wasn't really sure what I was doing at this stage. I was just experimenting. The little gold lantern looked great, real old and timey, but the rag, even I thought the random rag was taking it too far. My kids really had a laugh at me over the rag. That was actually an old pillowcase. What was I planning on doing with the rag? Wiping the sweat from my brow when I came in from the cornfields for my supper? I don't know, but look, not everything is going to be perfect on the first try. Maybe not even on the second try either. Sometimes I have to put things in a place, then live with it for a few days, then move things around. And the rag is proof that we all make home decor mistakes from time to time, but it did hang on my wall for a week before I realized it was too weird and I took it down. We are so close to the finish line. We just need to set the table and the dining room will be complete. I wanted the table to have some character but not be too overcrowded or busy. I started with the cloth napkins you saw me add to the wicker basket earlier. Then on top, I added some smaller check napkins that I also thrifted. I was happy I managed to get even a little bit of check material in the room somewhere. Then I added my white plates and bowls. These are just our everyday normal plateware, but adding them to this new dining table with the cloth napkins somehow made them look really fancy. And in the center of the table, I added these three black candlesticks that I have had forever, again with white taper candles. I really love these candlesticks. The black matches the black table base and the chairs, and I like that they're more modern. I feel like it balances out the room with a mix of modern and antique. Okay, that's everything placed in its new home. Time for the big reveal. Remember, this is what we started with. And this is where we've ended up. So tell me, what do you think of our new farmhouse dining room? And as promised, here's a little seasonal fun if you're into that kind of thing. When I initially finished the dining room, it was Easter time, so I got the room ready for our Easter family dinner. My theme for Easter this year was natural, spring, new growth, in the garden fun. On the mantel, I added this big terracotta carrot pot I found for £1.50 in a charity shop. I added some picks I bought in Home Bargains. I could have added carrots to the vase, but I had carrots in mind for another part of the room, so I went with the Easter egg picks instead. I also added a little Happy Easter plaque. I found this adorable plush bunny at a car boot sale for just £3, and I also added this Easter wreath from B&M to the hooks on the wall. Now for the hutch. I was really looking forward to decorating the hutch for spring. I feel like the decor in the cabinet is already kind of natural, so I just wanted to add a few little touches. I love the idea of lush green against the dark wood, and so I added a big cauliflower I got from the Sunday market, and I even added a cabbage. I also thrifted this little watering can, and I thought that went nicely with the spring garden theme. I showed this beautiful set in a recent haul video. I thrifted this incredible cabbage leaf serving set, and I kept it especially for our Easter dinner. I knew it would look perfect in the hutch. These beautiful wicker Easter eggs are originally from TK Maxx. I bought them probably 10 years ago and they're still going strong. And lastly, I added an Easter garland from Home Bargains across the top of the hutch. For the table setting, I used this mint green tablecloth I thrifted last year for my garden patio table, and I used the same white cloth napkins as placemats and our usual white plates and bowls. I found these cute little wicker carrots in the pound shop and I just dotted them around the tabletop along with these adorable flower shaped marshmallows, also from the pound shop. They were delicious, 10 out of 10 recommend. I have been waiting to make this centerpiece since forever. Some of you might remember this big glass vase that I was given for free because it had a small chip on the top and the charity shop wasn't allowed to sell it, so they give it to me for free. Well, I filed out the chip and I've kept the vase for this exact moment. I bought some huge carrots with the stem still attached from a farm shop and I filled the vase with water. I also added these little Easter picks I got in Home Bargains. I think they're £1.50 each. I'm obsessed, so in love with this Easter centerpiece. I'm going to be repeating this every year. Plus, you can eat the carrots after you're done with the display. We even got to use our big thrifted serving platters for the first time. Here's the final Easter look, a super sweet and cozy Easter family dinner. Now look, if you loved the dining room, if you thought it was great and you wouldn't change anything, and you've had enough of decorating for today, feel free to end the video now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was fun. Take care. But if you're crazy like me, and you felt like things were good, but they could be just a little tiny bit better, then stay with me for just a few more minutes. So look, I did like the dining room. I loved it actually. But after about a week of going in there and just sitting and standing, admiring my work for several minutes, multiple times a day, to me, it just didn't flow as well as it could. And I decided to make some changes. I love the dark wood hutch. You know I love the hutch. But it felt too big for the room. So I moved the hutch into another room. Again, it's literally like musical chairs in this house. Then I broke my own rule and I knowingly went over budget. I bought this white glass door cabinet from Facebook Marketplace for £50. I know, shame on me for going over budget, but I just felt like the white went with the room better than the dark wood. It lightened the dark corner, it didn't feel as large and bulky, and I still had somewhere to display all of my knickknacks. Plus, they wouldn't get dusty like they would in the hutch. So hopefully I've justified the cabinet purchase to you now. I also picked up this gorgeous little nursing chair from a charity shop for £5. Again, I felt like the smaller chair gave the cozy effect I wanted in the room without making the space feel small. So the check chair is off to another room as well. Then I brought in my most favourite cabinet ever that I had in another room in the house. It didn't really match the room it was in, and you can't tell me that this cabinet doesn't go perfectly with the new table and chairs. I bought this cabinet probably 6 years ago from a lovely Swedish lady. She completely transformed it from a dark mahogany to the beauty you see before you. And lastly, remember earlier when I said that even though I bought the dust sheet curtains new in the shop, but I promised in the end everything was truly thrifted. Well, about a week after finishing the makeover, guess what I find in a charity shop? A beautiful pair of curtains, originally from Dunelm. They were only £3 and they even have black leaves on them. Perfection. So I returned the dust sheets and the check panels, so I recouped that cost. I also by chance scored these nice black metal curtain ties from a charity shop for £1. So my window dressing cost me a total of £4. That was the bargain I was hoping for. So tell me now. Do you prefer the room before or after these most recent changes? And if all of these different makeovers in one video is making your head spin, can you imagine living with me? Lord, imagine being me. It's mayhem. It's fun, but it's mayhem. So my budget for this dining room makeover was £200, and obviously by the end I went over budget. I have mixed feelings about that and I'll explain why. So we spent £110 painting the room and putting new skirting boards on the walls. Then we spent £72 buying a sander, old furniture, everything we needed to furnish the room. We had £18 left to decorate. Because I bought the ornaments and lampshades and things over the course of several months, and I'm a thriftaholic, okay? I buy a lot of things, as you can imagine, but it means I don't always know what room the item will end up in, so it's hard to track exactly how much I spent on the exact decor items used in the room. But I am very lucky in that my area offers super cheap secondhand items, and so I'm going to actually estimate that I probably did spend less than £20 altogether on the decor. So I could have come in pretty damn close to budget and everything would have been great, but I didn't. I bought the white cabinet and the little nursing chair, and those put me £55 over budget. Now I can justify the overspend and say that the room looks better. £200 was over ambitious to begin with, and going £55 over budget isn't a big deal. That's not really the point, is it? I choose to set a budget at the beginning of my projects for two reasons. It means you have to track your spending, and there's no big shock at the end when you think back and realize how much you actually spent. When you track your costs, you spend more consciously, in my opinion. And the second reason I set a budget is that it forces you to be creative. When the budget runs out, but you really, really wanted a big rug for the room, or you're dying to replace the light fixture, you got to put your thinking cap on and figure out creative ways to get those things. When you go over budget, when it's not 100% necessary, you're not just spending money that you didn't intend to spend. You're wasting the opportunity to work those mental muscles, to let your creative juices flow. You're letting those creative juices go to waste. And sure, now it's £50 over budget, but then the next project goes £100 over budget. And then the next project is £500 over budget. You know what I mean? Lines get blurry over time. Set a budget and make it fun and exciting to stay within that budget. If it helps, you can even reward yourself with like a dinner out with your family or a trip to the cinema, whatever you enjoy. Reward yourself for having the discipline to stay in your budget. I'm obviously not getting a reward this time, and my tail's between my legs. But I always want to be honest about my costs when I make my videos. That's been important to me since the beginning of my YouTube channel. So I had to confess my crime to you. But I do love the dining room so much now. Listen, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you're a superstar. I hope it was fun to watch. Let me know what you think of the room. What would you have done differently? What did you love? What did you hate? Give it to me straight. That's all for today. Take good care of yourself. Bye bye.